Today, today we will start with the general pharmacology, and in that we will see the definition of a drug. A drug is any substance or a product that is used for diagnosis, prevention, treatment, or cure of a disease, or is intended to be used to modify or explore physiological systems or pathological states for the benefit of the recipient. So here recipient is nothing but what? Your patient, those who are receiving the drug. So this is the recipient, and how we are defining the drug. Drug is a substance or a product that is used for the main purpose diagnosis, then prevention, maybe for treatment or cure of a disease, and that is intended, the purpose of this substance intended to be used to modify or explore the physiological systems or pathological states or for the benefit of the patient. So this is the definition of a drug. That means any substance which can be used for the diagnosis, prevention, treatment, or cure of a disease, and its purpose is to be used to modify the physiological systems or pathological states for the benefit of the patient. So that may be called as a drug. So simple definition. Now the drugs have the different terms according to their characteristics and their responses. So the first um, term, that is agonist. The drug can be act as an agonist. So let us see what is meant by agonist. So an agonist is a chemical which binds to a receptor or activates the receptor to produce a biological response. That means a drug that binds to physiological receptor now and receptor and mimic the regulatory effects of the endogenous substance. So here the agonist is a drug or a substance which is acting as an agonist have a capacity to bind to the physiological receptor. You can see this bind to the physiological receptor. Receptor is a place or a site where your drug is going to be attached. So that is called as the receptor. So this is the term, the agonist, which binds to the physiological receptor or a site, and mimic. Mimic means enhance or explore. Mimic means enhance the regulatory effects of the endogenous substance. That is enhancing the action of that receptor with that endogenous substance. Means consider here in this diagram you can see. So this is a drug which is has a capacity of agonist, or it is acting as an agonist. When we can say a drug A is an agonist, when it is enhancing the effect of this receptor, that receptor enhancing or mimicking, then it will be called as an agonist. So how it is going to show this effect? Here you can see this drug A, which is an agonist, will bind to the receptor site to in the body due to the affinity towards that receptor. Now what is mean by an affinity? Affinity means an attraction. In a simple words, you can call it as an attraction. The higher the attraction or higher the affinity of a drug or agonist towards the receptor, the higher its or faster it will attaches to the site of that receptor. And after attaching this receptor, this will get activated. The receptor will get activated by the attachment of this drug by forming a complex, that is the AR complex here. The agonist and receptor complex. This will form a complex here, and this complex will activate the receptor site, and this receptor site will get activated. This here you can see This activation will lead to the response, a physiological response of that particular receptor. Whatever actions in our body takes place are nothing but the responses to particular endogenous substances which are secreted in our body. Maybe it is a hormone, maybe it is an enzyme. All the substances, these are the endogenous substances. Endogenous means which are released in our body by our cells. So inside our body, many substances are released, and these endogenous substances have various actions on these receptors to produce the response. And this response, a similar kind of response, is produced by the external substance which is acting as an agonist here. Whenever you are taking a drug, it may be an agonist if it is enhancing a particular response of that receptor, or it may be an antagonist if it is inhibiting the response or inhibiting the action of that receptor. So here we are discussing the agonist. It has high affinity to that receptor and high intrinsic activity to that receptor. So high intrinsic activity is nothing but the efficacy. So intrinsic activity is also called as the efficacy. So affinity is the capacity to bind to the receptor, and efficacy is the capacity to produce or activating the receptor. So the agonist have both the capacities, that is the affinity as well as the efficacy or intrinsic activity. It can bind to the receptor too and showing the efficacy too. So it can mimic the response. It can mimic the response of that particular receptor or that as the endogenous substance which is giving that response. So this is a agonist. Let us move toward in the next slide. Here you can see this is a ligand receptor complex, means endogenous substance which is formed in our body. Maybe it may be a hormone, maybe it is a enzyme. So as if the hormone is released and it is binding to that receptor, it is producing the activation of receptor and showing the effect. The similar drug molecule which is acting as an agonist will have the binding site as that of the your ligand. So here you can see the similar structure is present here, the which is fitting face to face with the receptor binding site. A similar structure. This is the similar structure. Here you can see this is the similar structure, the binding site and the agonist having a similar structure. Here you can see this is the similar structure as that of the ligand. So it is fitting perfectly with that site of the receptor and showing the response. Here you can see this is the response produced as that of the endogenous substance is producing. So here all this happens due to the binding to that receptor site. And where the receptors are located, here you can see this is the our cell membrane, and in this cell membrane we have studied in our first year in the human anatomy and physiology. The receptor molecules are located on the surface of the cells. So this is the surface of the cell. Sometimes the receptors are also present inside the cell. They may be called as the nuclear receptors. So all these are present on the surface of the cell, and where the agonist get binding and exerting its action, and so it is called as an agonist. So what are the types of agonism? Okay, so once we have come to know that a substance an agonist is producing or mimicking the same effect or same response as that of the our endogenous substances giving, there are the different types of agonism. The first one is the summation. So summation in the simple language, in the math, you may call it as a addition. So summation means addition. So here the agonist may give the response which is an addition of two different responses. So the two drugs having the same response but with the different mechanism, and their combined effect is equal to the summation or addition of their both. So this is called as the summation agonism. Here the two different drugs having the different mechanism of action producing the same response, and their combined effect is equal to the plus plus or increasing its effect in a positive manner or in a addition manner. So here you can see an example. When we are taking an aspirin which have the analgesic activity too by the prostaglandin inhibition, while the codeine which is having the action on the opioid receptor and having the analgesic action. So both are the different drugs and having the different mechanism of action, different receptor, but the same response, same therapeutic response, that is the analgesic activity that enhances or make it summation or addition of that both responses for longer period, and this type of agonism called as the summation agonism. The next is the additive type of agonism. So here combined effect of two drugs acting by the same mechanism. So in the previous we also the two different drugs have the different mechanisms, a different way of action. So the summation agonism takes place. While in the additive agonism, here the two different drugs but having the similar mechanism of action. When acting together give the additive type of agonism. So here aspirin and the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug both having the target on the prostaglandin inhibition and showing the analgesic activity and gives the additive type of agonism. The next is the synergism. Synergism is the supra additive, means beyond the addition. Here you can see in the addition 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But in the synergism, the effect is more than the summation or the additive effect. So it is called as the synergism effect. Here 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 in the therapeutic activity. So a therapeutic response. So it is called as the synergism, means beyond the addition we are getting the therapeutic response. This is the synergism type of agonism. The combined effect of two drugs is higher than either the individual effect. Means here if you are taking the drug, single drug, and showing its action, but when we are combining two drugs, the drug effect get synergized or get enhanced. This is called as the synergism or supra-additive agonism. So here you can see example of sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. So sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim are, we can say, the sulfonamides, and in the combination they have a higher therapeutic effect in the folic acid inhibition and in the bacterial inhibition. So another example is the levodopa and carbidopa. So levodopa and carbidopa, when we are using in the Parkinson disease, so sometimes levodopa cannot be reached to the uh, brain inside where it has to show its action. So carbidopa, where the levodopa get metabolized. So we have to use the carbidopa to prevent its metabolism, and we can preventing metabolism of this levodopa and enhancing its action. So this combination gives the synergistic agonism. Here you can see in the diagram in the graph, the summation effect is A drug plus B drug gives the A plus B type of agonism, Here in the synergism, A having the higher effect, but B do not showing any kind of effect, but still the effect is achieved more than the A plus B. So this is the fantasy of the synergism agonism. It's very important to understand here. What is the synergism? Fantasy beyond it is that here the B drug do not have any kind of therapeutic action here, but still it is enhancing the action of our drug A by preventing its metabolism or any kind of other action. It is enhancing its action and giving the more than A plus B effect. So that is the synergism agonism. Then the next type of agonist is the partial agonist. So partial agonist, the name itself indicating it have a partial agonistic activity. It is not having the full affinity or full intrinsic activity. So it is called as the partial agonist. So full affinity plus low intrinsic activity. So here you can see the full agonist which is having the full affinity means which have binding capacity to the receptor but do not have a full intrinsic activity means it will not show its response maximal response but show some response which is having the having the capacity to giving the therapeutic response but not full therapeutic response. So here the low intrinsic activity and full affinity, that is the characteristic of our partial agonist. It is a partly effective as agonist, greater affinity for receptor than the here RI. Let me see what is that mentioned. Agonist and in affinity and intrinsic activity here. So greater affinity for RA, that is affinity and intrinsic activity than the intrinsic activity. So cannot produce a full biological response at any concentration. So if you are increasing your concentration of partial agonist, still it is not able to produce a full biological response. So for example, in this graph, you can see the full agonist showing the maximum activity in the percentage, but partial agonist is unable to reach this capacity, but having some type of some percentage of activity uh, with the partial agonist. Here you can see the highest concentration may not going toward the highest activity still. So example here you can see the pentazocine having the capacity to bind with the receptor but not therapeutic action as that of the full agonist. So pentazocine is a centrally acting analgesic. It has a centrally acting analgesic activity, but it is a partial one, not a full agonist. The next type definition of agonist is the inverse agonist. So it has an full affinity, but and the intrinsic activity less than zero. Or here you can see the intrinsic activity can be when we are calculating intrinsic activity, it is having a range 0 to -1. So the inverse agonists have binding to the receptor, but have the intrinsic activity in a negative manner. So here it is called as the inverse agonist. So inverse agonist binds uh, with constitutively active receptors which are available for binding or free. So they bind to that free receptors, but uh, reduce the activity means they negatively uh, having the intrinsic activity. They stabilize them and reduce the activity, that is the negative intrinsic activity. Example are beta carbolines on benzodiazepine receptor, then chlorpheniramine on histaminic 1 receptor, H1 receptor, then risperidone, clozapine, chlorpromazine, on 5-hydroxytryptamine to a receptor, and ziprasidone olanzapine on the 5-hydroxamine hydroxytryptamine 2C receptor. So all these are the inverse agonists. So they have their negative intrinsic activity on the uh, our receptor. So they are called as the inverse agonist. So here you can see this graphs. These graphs as showing this the full response of the full agonist with a minimum concentration reaching to the maximum response, while the others are having the partial agonist have the less response, and this occupancy of both drugs, higher occupancy. If both drugs having the higher occupancy, they are having still not reaching to the highest response. So here you can see the graph is showing that the full agonist have the highest occupancy and highest response percentage response, while partial uh, agonist have the full occupancy but do not having the highest response. So here you can see this with these graphs. Let us see the another definition of drug which is having the another characteristics different than the agonist is the antagonist. So anta means opposite. Antagonist means which are having the opposite action, opposite action as that of the agonist. So it is called as the antagonist. So a drug is said to be an antagonist when it binds to a receptor and prevents or blocks or inhibits a natural compound or a drug to have an effect on the receptor. An antagonist has no activity here. So here the difference between agonist and antagonist is what? The agonist have the affinity as well as the efficacy, but antagonist have affinity but no efficacy. The antagonist do not have any kind of efficacy, but it has an uh, affinity, or it has a capacity to bind with the receptor. Hmm? So this characteristic you have to remember here. So what it is doing here, it binds to a receptor, it binding to the receptor, or occupying the receptor, but do not but and prevents the or inhibits the other agonist to bind on the same site. It prevents the other agonist to bind on the same site and prevents its action. So it will not have a chance to show its action. The agonist is not able to show its action due to the presence of this agonist. So it is occupying the place only, not showing any kind of effect. So here, how they are exerting the antagonism. The first type of antagonism is the chemical antagonism. Then second is the physiological or functional antagonism. And third one is the pharmacological antagonism, that is competitive. It is reversible or irreversible type, and non-competitive, that is one of the irreversible type of antagonism. So let us see the pharmacokinetic antagonism. So here the pharmacokinetic antagonism, that is the pharmacokinetic antagonism. The chemical antagonism is what? They are opposing to each other by occupying the place on our receptor. Physiological and functional antagonism, then pharmacokinetic antagonism. So let us see the first pharmacokinetic antagonism. So antagonist is effectively reduces the concentration of the active drug at its site of action, either by increased metabolic degradation and decrease absorption or increase excretion. So antagonist may reduce its concentration by different mechanisms like metabolic degradation, then decrease absorption or increase excretion of that agonist which is present nearby with the antagonist. So here you can see antagonist, pharmacokinetic antagonist, which are having the actions on absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion of agonist. So here the ADME parameters: absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion. So in pharmacokinetic antagonism, which type of drugs having this? The calcium and tetracycline. Then so calcium, if the calcium is present there, the effect of tetracycline get reduced due to the formation of chelates. Then cholestyramine and warfarin and decomposing. So cholestyramine is an anti-hyperlipidemic. If it administered with the warfarin and decomposing, it will reduces the effect of warfarin and decomposing. Then the phenylbutazone and warfarin. So phenylbutazone and warfarin, if having together, the one is acting as an antagonist of phenylbutazone. The warfarin may here the phenylbutazone will inhibit the distribution of warfarin. So it is antagonizing the action of warfarin. Then metabolism, increase phenobarbital and rifampicin. So here you can see the increase in the phenobarbital, so rifampicin and warfarin. So when we are having the uh, phenobarbital with rifampicin and warfarin, so phenobarbital will oppose the action of rifampicin and warfarin. Okay. Then excretion by the here increased metabolism means phenobarbital can increase the metabolism of rifampicin and warfarin, while the ciprofloxacin decreases the metabolism of chloramphenicol, erythromycin, and theophylline. By that way, they are inhibiting its action. Here, the excretion is decreased by the probenecid, aspirin, sulfonamides. So by this way, they are having the antagonisms here. They are having different way to antagonize. The absorption may interfere the absorption. Calcium may interfere the absorption of tetracycline. Then phenylbutazone may interfere the distribution of warfarin. Then by increasing the metabolism, by decreasing the metabolism, by decreasing the excretion, by increasing the excretion. All these are the ways by which the antagonism may occur. So here you can see the next type, pharmacological antagonism. Also pharmacological antagonism have the two types, the competitive antagonism, which is one of reversible, and second is the irreversible. So reversible antagonism means higher the concentration of one drug may reverse the antagonism. So here you can see the antagonist that bind reversibly to the same receptor site as that of the agonist. So here the both agonist as well as the antagonist are present nearby, but if the concentration of antagonist is higher than the agonist, the antagonism will continue. But if we are increasing the concentration of agonist more than the antagonist, our effect will be achieved. So it is called as the reversible type of antagonism. So it can be reversed. The inhibitory action can be reversed by increasing the concentration of our agonist drug. And so it is called as the surmountable type of antagonism. Surmountable means we can overcome the antagonism by increasing the agonistic action. So shift of the agonist log concentration to the right without change in the slope of the maximum effect, and linear relationship between the agonist dose ratio and antagonist concentration. So here you can see this is the shift. Shift means the as we are increasing the concentration, we are getting the responses because the agonist has an efficacy as well as the affinity. So if we are increasing the concentration of agonist, this response will shifting towards the right. So here you can see, so antagonist concentration decreased and increased agonist concentration, we will get the response here. So shift is expressed as a dose ratio R, the ratio by which the agonist concentration has to be increased in the presence of the antagonist in order to restore the given level of response. So agonist reduces the rate of association of the antagonist molecule. So the the occupation of antagonist is replaced by the agonist if the concentration of agonist is increased. By this way, we can surmount the antagonism in this reversible type of antagonism. And in irreversible type of antagonism, what happens? It is not able, the higher concentration of antagonist, due to that the whatever the concentration of agonist we are adding there, it will not get reversed or it will not get to the effect. So it is called as irreversible type of antagonism. So that here you can see the antagonist effect cannot be overcome even after increasing the concentration of agonist. So it will not dissociated from that receptor site or cannot be replaced or moved from that receptor site. So the antagonism becomes permanent and irreversible. So this is the type of irreversible type of antagonism. Okay, so here this is the example of this type of antagonism: aspirin, omeprazole, and the monoamino oxidase inhibitors. So agonist plus competitive antagonist. Once the agonist showing this effect, but in the presence of antagonist, the effect of this agonist decreased, and the curve uh, get towards last. So this is the irreversible type of antagonism. So here we will stop.